Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar on experiencing the power of hypnotherapy. And guys, I'm going to open up my chat box and we're going to run this a little bit like we do in the meetings in our transformation support community, where the way that you talk is through the chat box. But I am going to give you a PowerPoint because I have quite a lot of information to get through with you. So I'm just going to make sure that I can share my screen. And please, guys, say hello in the chat box as I get my screen up. And just give me a little nod if you can see my little PowerPoint presentation. Rock and roll, thumbs up. I like it. G'day, Gay. G'day, Carolyn. G'day, Fiona. G'day, Lawrence. Oh, we got some Geelong people, some Tasmanian people. It's got me thinking of the football, the Geelong Football Club. My best mate goes for them, and Tassie's getting a new football club. G'day, Janelle. All right, let us get into it, guys. I like the energy. G'day, Jeannie. All right. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to say is a big warm welcome to all of you, both everyone who is attending live and also the people who registered and we're going to send the recording to afterwards. And then also we're going to put it up on YouTube some stage later on. So if you're watching in YouTube land as well. And look, I thought I should introduce myself because we are actually going to be doing a light hypnotic activity for people who want to later on. And I think it's always good to feel comfortable with someone who may be your hypnotherapist. So a lot of you will know me. But if you don't, my name is Glenn Mackintosh, and I'm a psychologist who is really interested in eating, physical activity, weight, body image, general health, and of course, mental health. I will take you a little bit on my clinical journey that got me practicing hypnotherapy with people, because I am also a hypnotherapist as well as a psychologist. Not all psychologists are hypnotherapists, and I'll tell you why I've chosen to become one. I am also an author. I wrote a book called Thin Sanity, 7 Steps to Transform Your Mindset and Say Goodbye to Dieting Forever. And part of the popularity of that book was me actually talking about alternative therapies such as the non-diet approach, emotional freedom techniques or tapping, and of course, hypnosis. So that is a little bit about me. So what are we going to do today? G'day, Marcella. We have quite a bit to do today, actually. I'm going to talk you through some of the surprising science behind hypnotherapy. There is some. It was surprising to me, and I think it's really quite compelling. We're going to talk about how hypnotherapy can actually make change easier and help you to overcome self-sabotage. We're going to talk about what hypnotherapy is and also what it isn't, because there are a lot of misconceptions around hypnotherapy, I think. I'm going to take you through some really, really interesting, fascinating, actually, scientific advancements that can help us enhance our hypnotizability. Really, really cool stuff. And then we are going to experience the benefits of hypnotherapy firsthand. We're going to do just a light hypnotic activity. It won't be like a full or a deep hypnosis, but we are going to have a bit of a play with some hypnotic principles in a way that will benefit you. And then, as promised, I am going to share with you a free hypnosis audio track, and so we'll link you up to that as well. G'day, Trish. It's just people cruising in. I like it. It's people. Then I'm going to invite you, if you're interested, to join our transformational hypnotherapy series, which is a webinar series where I can personally take you through the power of hypnosis in a very detailed and very kind of supported way. And something that we are all very excited about, uh, a new audio program that I've been creating called the 90-day transformation audio program. And yes, I am chuffed with myself at that play on words. G'day, Angela. And then we will do we'll have time for questions and answers. I think because when I was preparing this webinar, there is so much stuff that I want to go through with you. And I think that I will answer quite a bit of it in my PowerPoints. So we might roughly leave that to the end, but I will have some parts where I'm going to ask you to chat with me. Okay. So let's start by looking at some of the science behind hypnotherapy for what is my background, which is weight concerns. So, people who know me will know that I'm far less interested in the end goal of weight loss or the number on the scales than I was 10 or 15 years ago. But back when I began as a more weight focused psychologist, the main therapy that I did was CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. And here is the reason. So this is this is some data from a meta-analysis, which is a study of studies. Basically, what it shows is that if you do a diet and exercise program, and I'm sure that a lot of people are familiar with this, you get this what we call the Nike swoosh of weight loss, where the weight goes down when you're doing the program, and then it goes back up again. And what we find is that if we do cognitive behavioral therapy, which was at the time the gold standard in interventions for weight concerns, we get a little bit more weight loss, which of course people like, and the weight is more slowly regained. So it comes back less quickly. Now, obviously, that could be beneficial in some senses, but it's obviously not exactly what we really want. So, after doing 3 or 4 years of a lot of CBT with my clients and seeing its benefits, but also seeing its limitations, I started to explore some other therapies that were evidence based. And I was a little bit surprised when the evidence took me to hypnosis. So this is a result of another meta-analysis, um, and this is the same cognitive behavior therapy line that we drew in the last slide. So we might have the diet and exercise going up here. If you can see my pointer, hopefully you can. Then the CBT, you get a little bit of a better shaped Nike swoosh, a little bit more elongated. But these are the results when we add hypnotherapy onto cognitive behavior therapy. And you can see that they're quite striking. Uh, a lot more weight loss. So, about almost 10 kilos versus about 5 kilos of weight loss. But then, to me, the most interesting thing is that the weight continued to just go down a little bit after the treatment, which is very, very rare in any weight concerns interventions. That weight will continue to come off after the treatment finishes. Normally, it sort of just creeps back up. So this was probably the most fascinating thing to me, that the changes that were under that the people underwent when we added on hypnotherapy, they increased over time. Um, and this is exactly kind of what the researchers concluded when they wrote that the benefits of hypnosis increased substantially over time. For me being primarily a health psychologist interested in health behaviors and health habits, long-term change is really the name of our game. So this is what really, really excited me. So, an interesting question becomes, well, why would the changes when we do hypnotherapy increase over time? And to me, especially because I am far less focused on the actual weight loss itself as the goal, um, it's more about this highlights the power of hypnotherapy to work on your unconscious mind. So, and I'm sure that you've experienced this before, is that a lot of people, most of us, we have to work very hard, a lot of effort, a lot of willpower, very consciously in order to create new habits. Um, and when it gets too difficult, then we tend to revert back to our old habits. But the common experience of someone undertaking successful hypnotherapy is that the changes happen with much less or even no willpower. They tend to happen quite easily, which of course it makes it more easy to develop new habits, and of course more easy to sustain new habits. So that the research that hypnosis creates larger and longer lasting effects fits perfectly with hypnotic theory that hypnosis is helping to transform the unconscious mind. So, how does this actually happen? I want to introduce this term of conscious unconscious mismatches. So, what does that mean? Let's think for a second about our conscious minds, that part of our minds that we can generally attend to. Our conscious minds tend to be fairly logical, they tend to be quite analytical, they often know the goals that we want, and even the action steps that we've got to take to achieve those goals. Whereas our unconscious minds tend to be quite emotional and quite habitual. And they may or may not feel like making the changes that our conscious minds want to make. So, a very common metaphor that I really like is if you think of the totality of your mind as being like an iceberg, and that conscious part that you can consciously attend to is the part that's above the water, and the unconscious is the bigger part that sits below the water. And so if we have a mismatch between what we consciously want and what we unconsciously want, then that mismatch will tend to sabotage our efforts. We're really working against ourselves rather than with ourselves. Does that make sense, guys? I'm just going to check and see your faces. Yeah? Yeah. All right. Some examples of this, and these are just very, very common examples from my practice with people. Consciously knowing that exercising is good for us, but not feeling as though we want to go to the gym. It's like, yes, I know that that's going to make me healthier. Yes, I know it's in line with my health goals. I want to get fitter, but I just don't feel like it. There's a conscious unconscious mismatch. Another common one is understanding. So, logically, intellectually understanding that if I keep eating a certain food, it's going to make me feel yucky. It might make me feel bloated, or it might make me feel disappointed in myself, or it might make me feel really sluggish and tired. But feeling unconsciously, so there's this unconscious feeling like I've got to keep eating it anyway, which might be just a feeling, or it might be like an urge or an impulse or a really powerful kind of compulsion. And finally, one that I may experience after this evening's webinar, I often find it takes a little bit of time to wind down after webinars, is, consciously realizing if I go to bed, I'm going to feel better the next day. I get that intellectually, but emotionally, unconsciously, I feel like I just want to stay up. I want to scroll my Facebook. I want to watch another episode of my favorite series. So I'd love to hear, guys, anyone in the chat, if you experience any of these conscious, unconscious mismatches. And Claire said it makes so much sense, right? We all know that feeling of kind of fighting or working against ourselves. Yeah, Mina says all the time. Super common, right? Super normal. Yeah, food, says Angela. Jeannie says it feels like two personalities. Marcella says, yep, all the time. And I think that is, that is probably an important point, is that if it feels like, people will often say that to me, they're like, Glenn, it feels like there's two of me in here. And there actually is. There's the conscious part and the unconscious part that are sharing the decision making at any given time. Now, often it is the unconscious part that wins out, especially when we don't have a lot of energy or willpower to consciously expend. Yeah, Fiona summed it up really well. We all know what to do, but my mind says otherwise. Um, so hypnotherapy helps to unlock your unconscious. So part of the power of the hypnotic state is that we can access the subconscious in ways that we can't generally do through normal conversation. And what this results in is an aligning of the conscious and unconscious minds. So rather than working against yourself, having that conscious unconscious mismatch, there's an alignment of the conscious and unconscious that transcends that conscious unconscious mismatch, self-sabotage. And the common feeling is a feeling of working with yourself. And as an example, people use food in the chat. I kind of feel like I don't need that food. Like, I know that I don't really need that food, and I actually feel like I don't want it. I know that going to the gym would be good for me, and I kind of feel like going to the gym. Um, and of course, when you're working more with yourself, that's why you're able to make these changes. And guys, I'm just mindful that somebody's been, I can hear somebody's sound. So if you can just mute yourself, if that's cool. Um, yeah, that's why you get this ability to make longer lasting changes and bigger changes, because you're more working with yourself. So often I think we can, and I'm sure, all of us are here in a webinar talking, about hypnotherapy. So you are interested, and I think a lot of us are interested, are hopeful that hypnotherapy can help us. But I think it also does come with some doubts and reservations and even fears. And I think a lot of those fears become they come from misconceptions and things that we may hear from, like we might read it in books, or we might see it in the movies, or we see it when we watch entertainment hypnosis. So I would love to hear from you in the chat box. What pops into your mind when I say the word hypnosis? What do you think of? There's no right and wrong answers here, guys. It's just what, quick word association. Mina says falling asleep. Yep, totally. Yes, Michelle says clucking like a chicken. That's one that comes. Oh, Faith, good one. Being out of control, entertainment. Paul McKenna, the hypnotherapist. Losing my mind. Yeah, yeah. So there's a whole variety of associations. Thank goodness some of those less than positive ones are misconceptions. So let's see if we can clear up a few of them. Fear that it won't work. It didn't work for me. I didn't feel anything different. Uh, Being under someone else's control. Very, very common fears. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys, for your energy. This is I know we're kind of whizzing through things, but it's so nice to be whizzing through things with you. And Janelle, there's a positive association here, just being guided by words. We might come back to that definition in a second. Let me start to talk to you about. I've got another couple being a little vulnerable. There is an element of vulnerability in doing hypnotherapy for sure, I think, and an easy way out. And that easy way out can be a good thing. It's like, oh, geez, that's sometimes I feel like when I do hypnotherapy or one of my clients does one of my hypnotherapy programs, we get benefits and I feel like it's kind of cheating, but in a good way. But also, it can have that association of kind of cheating in a bad way, right? Okay. So let's talk about what hypnosis is not, or hypnotherapy is not. It's not mysticism. It's not magic. I've got a little picture here of Mesmer, from associated with that word mesmerism, with his animal magnetism, and he was a very uh, interesting, quirky character who wore a cape. And hypnotism and mesmerism are often associated, but hypnotherapy actually originated in ancient Greece. So hypnotherapy comes from the Greek word hypno, which means to sleep. And it started with, they were a bit like priests, a bit like counselors would go up, you'd go up with them into a sleep temple and use this hypnotic state, this state of awareness, to have conversations where you are more open to change, just in a very similar way that we do today. It's not brainwashing. Um, Unfortunately, we do have evidence that brainwashing has been done to people, but there's very distinct differences between brainwashing and hypnotherapy. So brainwashing is obviously not always voluntary, whereas hypnotherapy is always voluntary. Brainwashing often happens in very uncomfortable circumstances, such as the absence of other stimuli for prolonged periods, whereas hypnotherapy tends to be sort of experienced like a light, relaxing kind of experience, of completely sort of chalk and cheese experiences. It isn't entertainment. So I think that the entertainment hypnotists do us some favors as hypnotherapists because they do help people understand the power of hypnotherapy, and they also do us some disservices, right? By sort of creating this uh, incorrect assumption that hypnosis is taking over your mind. So that's where you'll often, sometimes I use the word hypnosis, but I tend to prefer the word hypnotherapy, which is about using those hypnotic principles that a stage or an entertainment hypnotist might use, but using them in the context of the therapeutic setting where we're caring for our clients or our patients. And that is the number one and the sole concern. Hypnotherapy isn't subliminal. So I've put a little thing up here. It's like this, those things I used to put in like movies, like hungry, eat popcorn every 24th frame, and then it disappears. There's nothing that happens in hypnotherapy that will happen without your ability to consciously attend to it. You might or you might not consciously attend to it because you might be so relaxed that you're not consciously attending to it. But if you listen to any of the hypnotherapy, say that I would do with my clients, if you're one of my clients, or if you were to do it in my audio programs, there's nothing going on outside your conscious awareness, nothing that you're not aware of. And also, it's not dangerous. It tends to work. There was a suggestion there. It's like my mind is being controlled. I think a good way to think of it is that your mind. Hypnotherapy is not a process that works on your mind. Hypnotherapy is a process that works with your mind. And if you do it with somebody who is appropriately qualified, it tends to be very safe and just fairly calming and fairly relaxing. So let's have a little talk about what hypnotherapy actually is. Here's a definition it's my favorite definition. Hypnotherapy is a person being guided into a state of awareness where they become more receptive to ideas that are helpful for them on deeper levels. So there's a bit to that, right? There's a few parts to it, but let's break it down a little bit. Firstly, you're being guided. So it's something that you do voluntarily, and hypnotherapists will often say that all hypnosis ends up being self-hypnosis because you're allowing the process to happen. No one's guiding you, you are being guided into a state of awareness where you become more receptive. So now what we're talking about here is an openness to new ideas on deeper levels. Um, that can encompass the whole variety of experiences. So some of my clients, they will go under like in the movies. They can't remember what was being said. They just kind of pop up awake and they don't know what's been going on for the last half hour. But most of my clients actually experience it more like a light relaxation or a deep relaxation. They kind of go in and out of, and it's not uncommon for people who do hypnosis with me to actually not know that they were hypnotized until after the session. They'll come back next session and say, Glenn, this has happened. It's fantastic. I'm doing way more of this or way less of that. But during the session, I didn't even really know whether I was hypnotized or not. So I think that it's important that we realize that hypnosis is a state of awareness where we're open to new ideas, which can be a range of experiences. And we become more receptive to ideas that are helpful for us on deeper levels. So any hypnosis, certainly in my hypnotherapy audio programs, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of suggestions. And I absolutely know that your mind won't take all of those on board. They're not all right for you, but we trust that your mind will take on the ones and internalize those ones that are right for you. So hopefully that clears up a little bit about what hypnotherapy is and what hypnotherapy isn't. And here is a client example. If you would like to read it, this is just an email of a client who emailed me. Obviously, gave me permission to share this without using their name after a first hypnotherapy session. Read it if you would like, but I think probably one of the most important things to take out of it is that she was surprised. Uh, and it's a common experience when you do hypnotherapy to be surprised with the results. That's because a lot of our transformations, a lot of the changes that we make historically, they happen with a lot of effort. And often changes made hypnotically don't require as much effort. We've changed, we've transformed the unconscious. So there's less of a battle. So it might be like, oh, I thought about going to the gym. I just got my stuff ready and I'm, driving to the gym and I'm thinking, whoa, I just missed that whole mind battle. Or I had that, those chocolates in the cupboard and whoa, it's gone 3 or 4 days and I haven't even thought about them. So that's a common experience when we have successful hypnotherapy. Now, Angela asked a question. Are there people who can't be hypnotized? I reckon, Angela, you've probably asked that at bang on the perfect time because I'm just going to talk about how we enhance our hypnotizability. So, old school, we would think about hypnosis as like trying out for the choir. People try out, are you hypnotizable? Yep, you guys are hypnotizable, you're in. You guys, you can't be hypnotized, so you're out. In modern hypnosis, we more think, and I think this is a great way for us as hypnotherapists and you as hypnotizees, hypnotherapies, I don't know what you call yourselves, for you to think about hypnosis as not can I be hypnotized or not, but how can I become hypnotized? And let me share with you a couple of things that I've been working on to help enhance our hypnotizability. This is super cool stuff. When I say enhance hypnotizability, what do I mean? I mean, if you're generally quite suggestible, quite hypnotizable, you'll go into hypnosis more quickly and more deeply. And if you're one of those people that hasn't been able to experience the benefits of hypnosis before, haven't been hypnotizable, you are likely to become hypnotizable. So I get this, and these binaural tones that I want to talk you through, enhancing hypnotizability with binaural tones are probably the most powerful thing that I have uncovered to help everybody, no matter where they are on that bell curve of general hypnotizability, at the right at the top or right at the bottom, to become hypnotizable. So, the first idea here that I want you to understand is that we do talk about hypnosis in theoretical terms: conscious mind, unconscious mind, um, openness to new information on deeper levels. But hypnotic states actually map to brain waves. So I'll talk you through them really quickly. The first brainwave right up the top here is a beta brainwave, and this is the one that we're in most of the time when we're just in our waking state. The one below that is the alpha brainwave, which is associated with relaxation. We often go into that state naturally when we close our eyes. We see more alpha brainwaves in people who close their eyes. The theta brainwave is associated with that light level of sleep. And that's generally what we most associate with the hypnotic state. Hypno meaning sleep, just that light, I'm almost asleep, or I'm in a very light sleep, but I'm not completely asleep. And then below that, there's the delta. We actually know that both the alpha and the theta brain waves are associated with greater openness to change and more learning on deeper levels. So you actually don't have to necessarily go into that theta brain wave, um, that hypnotic state, to become more open to new ideas. So this is a sort of a neuropsychological way to think about openness to change and hypnotizability. Now, the coolest thing is that these brain waves can be altered with binaural tones. Or we often call, you might also have heard of these as binaural beats. Now, I can't go into the detail of how we create these. There's quite a little bit of detail in how they're created. But basically, they're sounds that are created in certain ways to do with the frequency. You get a slightly different frequency in one ear than in the other, and they elicit these particular brain waves. And we can choose what brain waves we want to elicit with these tones. So this is just a quick study. And basically what they did was, I'll talk you through this as quickly as I can. They had people listening to these binaural tones for, I think it was 45 minutes. And this line at the top, this black line, was the delta stimulus. So they created a binaural tone that would elicit the delta brainwave. So that goes up more and more over time, basically. And then they had two tones going at the same time. The one that was eliciting the alpha brain waves, they sent that right down. And then at these little bars here, they measured people's brain activity using an EEG. So this is the alpha brainwave, this line. So what they're doing is they're reducing the alpha binaural beat over the course of this 45-minute period. Now we can look from the bars and see, if we look at this first bar, there's quite a bit of alpha activity. And then as the person listens, the alpha activity reduces and reduces until the binaural tones stop, and then it goes back up. So pretty cool, right? We can actually cultivate these brain waves simply through these binaural beats or binaural tones. And again, this is the same pattern with the delta binaural tone, which is increasing. And if we look at the brain waves, we can see there's delta starts quite low. Naturally, people were awake at the time, and delta is associated with sleep. And then it just increases over time until the tones stop, and then it goes back down. So we can actually create these with tones. And when you listen to the tones, it's a bit like, I feel like the feeling that I get when I listen to them is like, when you pat a dog and the dog's like, you know, it just kind of you zone out into the zone. It just sort of puts you in that state very, very quickly. So the new hypnosis program, based on a pilot that I've done with a group of my clients, is going to have absolutely an option to listen to the suggestions with binaural tones. You can see here that most of the changes actually in the brainwaves actually just happen in the first 15 minutes. You don't need too much longer than that. So in our new hypnotherapy program, the sessions are only 15 minutes long, which really helps you to actually listen to them because they're quite short and we can achieve that hypnotizability in a super short space of time. Now, one other thing that I am really interested in um, is enhancing people's hypnotizability using non-diet principles. So I've talked about this ad nauseum. Our mind tends to reject dieting ideas. So if we tend to think of weight loss and dieting, it tends to conjure up past negative experiences. It tends to conjure up doubts as to whether we can actually achieve the goals we want to achieve, restriction with food, punishment with exercise. Now, obviously, these are suggestions that our mind is going to find very unpalatable, very difficult to take on board. And that's the reason why a lot of weight loss hypnosis isn't anywhere near as effective as it could be, or can actually send people the other way. So, my previous hypnotic um, uh, programs did include some non-diet principles, but still a little bit of that weight focus. And I feel like that had benefits and drawbacks. Whereas the new work that we're doing in both our hypnotherapy series and in our audio program is completely non-diet friendly. So you can see here, here's just an example of a person who was one of our research participants in a hypnotic program that I created. And you can see there's a nice sort of mix of positive benefits as well as some real non-diet principles that have shined through. Like this person said, I no longer refer to myself as fat or huge. Instead, I use words like funny, kind, and even beautiful. Okay, guys. Yeah, Fiona said, I agree. Have to fix your head. Yeah, hypnosis is a powerful way to fix your head. It totally is. So, guys, let's give it a go. And I think we're going to try a little hypnotic activity. Um, and it will be just a nice taste of the power of hypnotherapy. If you've done a lot of hypnosis before, this will be really, you'll really find this very easy. And then if you're just new, it will just kind of help you dip your toes in. So, guys, if you would like to delve into it with me, please, I would love you to, if you're feeling comfortable enough with that. Or if you just want to, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. But if you want to keep your eyes open and just kind of write notes, like use it as a bit more of a learning exercise, feel free. All right, guys. So, pens down. Let's just open ourselves up to a little experience here. Make yourself nice and comfy. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little daydream together. But before we start, I want to remind you that everything you've ever accomplished in life, anything that you're proud of or happy that you've done, it started off in your mind as a daydream. So sometimes our daydreams can be whimsical, but our daydreams can also be powerful. Some of these embryonic ideas, they kind of grow and they take hold and they manifest in our lives. So now we're going to begin to daydream what you want to next manifest into reality by connecting with a future possibility for yourself. So when you're ready, You may like to close your eyes. And remember, this will automatically engage those alpha brain waves, those light, relaxed brain waves that open you up to learning on deeper levels. That's one thing that I want you to know is that relaxation can actually be easy. Often our minds make it hard, but if we allow it to be, it can actually be easy. And I want you to know that as we go through this activity, you can relax in a way that is right for you. You might not want to relax at all. Just pay attention to what I'm saying, like a bit of a learning exercise. Or you might go into a pleasant, light relaxation where you can just daydream away. Or you may even go into a deeper state of relaxation and maybe even surprise yourself with how deep you go. Whatever state you want to go into is absolutely fine. I know that if you want to, you can get some of the benefits of this activity in a way that's right for you as a unique individual. So allow yourself to take some comfortable breaths if you're not breathing comfortably already. And begin to imagine. Imagine it's this time next year. A whole year has passed. And you're looking back on the year with a sense of pride, maybe a feeling of surprise, and really acknowledging things you've done, the things that you've overcome, maybe things you've struggled with for a long time. You might be feeling a real sense of surprise, thinking, wow, I've done a really good job for myself. Of course, it hasn't been perfect, it hasn't always been easy, but you've navigated any challenges and you've come through to the other side. Your life is better now, but how do you know life is better? What is different now as your 1 year on future self? Allow yourself in your imagination to experience this future self. As your future self, what are you doing differently? What are you doing more of or less of? What have you started or what have you stopped doing? Notice not only what you are doing or not doing, but notice how easy these behaviors are for your future self. They have already transcended the challenges of making new habits. They have transcended the challenges of breaking old habits. And they're already enjoying being on the other side. Maybe, or maybe not, that all began way back when they decided to have a transformational hypnotic experience. Allow yourself to acknowledge how you feel differently. How do you feel as your future self emotionally, physically, spiritually? Allow yourself to experience these feelings more and more with each breath. Allow yourself to suspend any judgments and experience these feelings as if you are feeling these feelings right now. Maybe, or maybe not, some of these feelings will sink in deep down. And maybe some of them will stay with you after this light hypnotic activity finishes. Maybe they'll grow and grow in your life more and more until you're becoming more like your future self every day and in every way. As your future self, what have you ticked off? What achievements or accomplishments or milestones have you reached? What are you proud to be able to say you've done? Allow yourself to feel that pride. Maybe the sense of relief at being free of things you'd struggled with for a long time, but also that sense of confidence that your future self has gained through transcending those challenges and reaching your goals. You might feel so confident that you have a feeling of, wow, now that I've done that, what's next? What else can I achieve? What problems have been fixed? What new outlooks or perspectives do you now hold? What parts of you have you let go of? And who have you become along your journey of change? Maybe you've become a different version of you, a version you've never experienced before, or a version you never even thought was possible. But in this light, hypnotic, open state, you can understand, maybe on deeper levels, that transformation is possible. Now, it's okay if you don't know how you'll become this future self or some version of it yet. But maybe your future self can help you. They've already made the steps. They've already overcome the barriers. They've already underwent the transformations. Maybe they have some wisdom to impart, something to tell you, whether it's on an intellectual level or a more feeling-based level. A next step to make, something you could start doing or stop doing right now. Something you could do differently to help bring this future self into the world today. As we begin to finish off this light hypnotic daydream, allow yourself to be with your future self, to be your future self for a few more moments. You can reconnect with your future self whenever you want to or whenever you need to, through this session or just in your own daydreams. And you may even find yourself looking or feeling or acting more and more like your future self in the future, which of course would mean that you are becoming more like them every day, just as you had daydreamed. Congratulate yourself for being brave enough to try this light hypnotic experience and connect with this future self inside. And I really wish you all the best in bringing that future self out into the world, which I'm sure will be for your own good, um, and the good of all of those around you. Uh, well done. So, guys, as you kind of come back into the room, have a little stretch if need be. I'd love for you to share in the chat box anything about your experience there, anything about what it was like to connect with your future self, any sort of insights that it gave you, what the experience was like. Someone said, "Well, I'll be sleeping well tonight." Ooh, nice one, Carolyn. A feeling of excitement. Yeah, it's like, ooh, when I start to feel that, yeah, that feeling of like, ooh, this could be possible for me. Yep, Mina fell asleep halfway, so you went right down. Yep, yep. Oh, this is cool, Angela, because I remember you were someone who was doubting your hypnotizability, but you said, I first doubted I could even envisage my future self, and then it came to me. Super duper cool. Someone relaxed quickly. Yep, and a couple of people who struggle, which is just some natural as well. Absolutely. Yes, someone needs to bring some noise cancelling headphones because the dog started barking at the neighbor's kids. Yeah, that'll pull you out of a hypnotic state pretty quick. People are joyful, light, energetic, uh, fantastic. Really, whole variety, but really, really cool. Very good work, guys, for that light little hypnotic experience. Okay, so, guys, I'm going to move on just because I'm mindful of the time, and I'll probably take another 10 or so minutes of your time, I would say. But then I will leave a bit of time at the end to continue answering your questions. So, if you do want to stick around at the end, I will answer all of your questions as best I can. The other little thing that I wanted to share with you is, as promised, a free audio session. So, if you want to delve even deeper, um, here is a fresh start hypnosis, which is a one-off session. I created it as just a one-off hour-long session that can help you to have a fresh start. And M will link the fresh start hypnosis, which we've just put up on our website for you, in the chat box, so you can access that. And really, I created this because so many of my clients, we were doing this fresh start hypnosis with one-on-one, and it was, we all need a fresh start at various times in our journey. And I thought, oh look, I'm just going to put this all together in a hypnosis and just give it to my clients, and that's going to make it a lot easier for everyone. Are you welcome, Lauren? It's a total pleasure. So there's some cool hypnosis for you to get you started. So if you want to delve deeper into the power of hypnosis and go into it in detail and get fully supported by me, I want to invite you to our webinar series, which is called the Transformational Hypnotherapy series. So it starts on May 29 live. If you're watching this video in 2025, you will be able to access it. But this is when we start live with all of that, that special energy and support that comes around the live program. So here's what we're going to do together in that series. We start off by looking at the power of your mind, and I'm going to give you an introduction to hypnotherapy, self-hypnosis, relaxation, creative visualization. Just give you all the basics you need to know. Then we're going to spend 4 sessions on transforming your mood. So we're going to go through how you relax the mind and the body, and kind of like we've seen today, I'm going to sort of show you that relaxation can be easy. We're going to work on getting a good night's sleep. I have a great visualization that helps you go off to sleep, especially if you have like a lot of mind monkeys that might keep you up and anxieties. It's a beautiful visualization. Then we're going to go the other way and we're going to show you how you can use visualization to build your energy. So if you're feeling a little bit tired, you've got a lot of things to do, how you can raise your energy level with visualization. Then we're going to, which is a really cool little activity, I'm going to show you how you can connect with the pleasant inside. We spend a lot of time talking about the unpleasant inside, the darker and the negative sides, which can be really, really helpful. But in this session, we actually connect with the lightness that exists within us and we can boost our mood with that. So it's super cool. Oh, and Vesna says, what about waking several times during the night? So that hypnotherapy should help you do two things. It should help you sleep right through more often. And it should then help you, if you do wake up, you can use it to help you get back to sleep as well. Then we're going to spend a couple of sessions on how you use the power of your mind and hypnotherapy to improve your life. So this future self hypnotic daydream that we did here, we spent maybe, I don't know, about 10 minutes on it. We're going to do an extended session on that future self hypnotic daydream. And again, I get a lot of time in those webinars to support you and answer your individual questions and help troubleshoot and apply it to you. That's a real benefit of what we do in our transformation support community. It's not only about information, it's where you get the application and really making it work for you as a unique individual. Then we're going to do what we call a daily self-hypnotic preview. So this is where we can hypnotize ourselves into having a great day in whatever way that means to us. I use this every day. And I said this to our members maybe a week or two ago that any success that I've had, I attribute a lot of it to this exercise. Then we're going to, of course, talk about how we can transform your eating. So we're going to go through an exercise that can help you to make more intuitive eating choices and feel as though you want to make more intuitive eating choices in real time as you're making the choices. And then we're going to go through this mental meal visualization, which is a scientifically proven visualization to help you want to eat certain foods less. Super cool. So if there's, all of this is done from a non-diet perspective, so you can eat whatever foods you want. But if there's a food there that there might be a bit of a desire for, but you're thinking, look, I'd rather not make that food choice, you can hypnotically really reduce the desire to practically zero. Then we're going to spend, again, not surprisingly, a couple of sessions on transforming your movement. We're going to go through a daydream yourself active visualization, which helps you get out the door, it helps you get into exercise. And then we're going to work through some visualizations for strength, cardio, and sport performance. So not can you increase your attendance with physical movement, but you can actually increase your performance, your effort, your workload. So sort of dipping into my background in sports psychology there. Then we're going to spend a session tying it all together. We do have in these sessions a lot of Q&A, and there are lots of opportunities for having your questions answered, whether you attend the webinars live or not. But it is good. We often like to have an open Q&A at the end just to tie everything together. And then we're going to do a couple of bonus sessions. One based on a really cool healing imagery that's actually scientifically shown to help people recover from injuries more quickly, which is just super cool. And then we're going to focus on something we talk a lot about in our membership community, which is connecting with that the wisest person, our greatest teacher, which is always the self, and how we actually do that using a nice self-hypnotic activity that feels really nice. Oh, cool. And Ingrid asked, what day of the week will this be held? So our webinars always on Wednesday evenings, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But we actually know that most of our members don't watch our hypnotherapy or our webinars, sorry, don't watch them live. As soon as they're done, we upload them into your system so you can access them at any time. But if you want to attend live, they're 7:30 on Wednesdays. So this new series is really kind of a two for one based on the demand of our members who really loved our hypnotherapy audio programs. They're often celebrated as kind of the most popular and also the easiest resources we have. They've been asking for a new audio program. So we're going to launch a new audio program in the community that we're calling the 90-day transformation. So it is 12 weeks, one 15-minute hypnosis track per week that you listen to over the course of that time. It's going to be super cool. And Fiona asks, will the hypnotherapy be separate to the webinar? Yeah, it will. So sometimes you'll be able to do the webinar. And really, what I'm going to tell you with the webinars is you just pick and choose whichever ones interest you, because they'll all be kind of independently valuable and self-contained. And then the hypnosis program is something that I think a lot of people will do as an adjunct in their own time. The hypnotherapy program is going to start. It will become available in week 3 of the program once you understand enough about hypnotherapy and how your mind works, and then we'll get into it. It does include the binaural tones or options to listen to with or without the binaural tones, which is something new for our publicly available programs. We've only piloted this, and they're total game changers, especially if you haven't been hypnotizable before. Total game changers. It features me, and it's the first of our programs too that is completely non-dieting friendly. So the suggestions are better than any suggestions we've had in our previous audio programs. So we are very, very excited about this new audio program. So let me let you know a little bit about the Transformation Support Community, which is our beautiful community that you join to become a member of this series and to access this audio program. And I know that there are a couple of our TSC legends who are here this evening who have just popped in to say hello and probably get a bit of a taste of what we're going to do in the weeks to come. So to access the hypnotherapy series or the audio program, you become a member of our online community. And it's not only the series, it's not only the audio program. Here's a list of some of the available supports. So there's weekly live webinars. So in this series, it's myself doing all the webinars. But then we have a historical library of all of the other webinar series we've done in the past. So we have a beautiful habits series with Dr. Gina Cleo, who's a habits researcher and a dietitian. We have a tapping series with Dr. Peter Stapleton, who is the world-renowned tapping guru, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Access to 5 of our online programs, 4 audio programs. So we used to have 3 audio programs, which contain the hypnosis in our existing programs, but you also get access now to our new audio program. Oh yeah, and Carolyn said, I love the library. The library is just so cool. You can really look at, okay, do I want to work on intuitive eating, or do I want to work on emotional eating? Do I want to work on body image? And it's just all there. The library is just getting bigger and bigger. And we do have this very special Facebook community. It is just it's a very special place, and I think that the connection with other people who are walking the same journey as you is half the therapy we do in the TSC. There are options to connect with our psychologists and dietitians one-on-one for little bits of support if you get stuck. We have a very cool size inclusive workout library that we call the Every Body Movement. It's been developed by a beautiful body positive exercise physiologist. We've got accountability buddies, an app, workbooks, a whole bunch of stuff. We don't want anyone to get overwhelmed with it. So we do say that everything in the TSC is an opportunity. It's all an option, but nothing is an obligation. So if you and you know that would feel, oh, you'll hear me say in the series, guys, if you're more a webinar person, you want to go to the webinars, awesome. If you want to do the online the audio program, just do that. Or if you want to do some combination of both, it's really about weaving this in a way that works for you, which we support you with. So M will put up the link to the new hypnotherapy series. So if you would like to, you can register. And that will get you access to the hypnotherapy series and the audio program. So again, if you're watching this video way in the future, you'll be able to access all of this. But what we do is we do get a bit of an influx of people when we start a new series, of course, because people like to be part of the live series. So we always limit the amount of new people around that series time. So we allowed 50 new spots for this series, and we've got 25 left. So we're actually we're half of our extra booked exactly. And the way you register, the way you kind of secure your spot is you just register now. So if you would like to join us, we would absolutely love to take this journey into unlocking your unconscious more. And if you sign up now, there's actually still up until Sunday, there's still a 21-day free trial of the program. So that'll give you up until a week or two into the program starting, but you can spend this time before it starts just to get familiar with the program. Check out your welcome emails, check out your welcome videos, join the Facebook group, get all into it, and then you'll be ready to kind of hit the ground running. The cost of it, we've got a 25% off discount for introductory members. So if you sign up, please use the code TRANCEform, and that will give you 25% off. And M has included the link there for anyone who wants to join as well. Now let me ask. Let me just see. I think we're pretty much done, guys. So thank you so much, and I'll be here to answer your questions. But let me see. I've just put up a few FAQs. Do I have to attend the webinars live? No, we already know we don't. A couple of people have asked if the audio program is available separately, and the audio program is exclusively for members of the TSC. It was created due to their demand, and even as much as the name, we named it together, and the content that has gone into it, it's just exclusively for our beautiful TSC members. Some people obviously want to ask if, okay, what if I sign up to this subscription? What if it's not for me, or something changes in my life? The cool news is that you can cancel it at any time. So whenever you cancel, you can just, there's no contracts or lock in, anything like that. We don't do that. We want you to be free to come in and then free to leave. And we've actually, which is pretty cool, we've got quite a few members who are returning for this series. So I think the most we've ever had of returning members. So that's really nice to know that some people who have finished up with us want to come back in for a new series. Let us have a chat, guys. And what we'll do is, I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see your beautiful faces. And I'll make sure I've got my chat box up. But guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to answer any of your questions for the next, 5 or 10 minutes or so. But if you have had all your questions answered, I hope that this has been a useful session for you. I hope that you enjoy the little activity that we did, or you enjoy the audio program, that audio session that we have sent to you if you want to do that fresh start hypnosis. I hope you've learned something out of it. Um, and I'm really thankful for your time. And also, if you do want to unlock your unconscious and be supported by myself and a team of legends who are just like you, we would absolutely love to have you in the series. It is one that uh, it started because the members wanted it. This was the number one topic that we wanted to cover, and we're all very excited about it. And I was just saying to the members in our webinar yesterday that if our if our series have to be challenging, they've got to be challenging, but this series is actually going to be quite easy. So that's it's just worked out that way. We make them as easy as we can, but this one is actually going to be quite easy. So that's a bonus. All right. Let me go back through the chat, guys, and I'll see if I can answer any questions. Guys, if I don't answer your question, and I've missed it because there's quite a bit of chat going on, which is great, please just ask it again. Yeah, Carolyn said, glad the future ones are 15 minutes. It's a real game changer. It just makes it so much more accessible, so much easier to do. Meryl said, thank you. Very appreciative of your work and what you share. It's a total pleasure. Thanks for being with us. Angela asked, how often can we be hypnotized? Is there a limit to the frequency? So the fresh start hypnosis that we linked you to is actually designed to be just a one-off. But that's different to almost all of our other hypnosis, which is designed to be done as often as you like. So in the hypnosis webinars, I'm going to be going through teaching you the activity, troubleshooting it so you really understand it and you can use it. And then it's totally up to you. For example, with the daily self-hypnotic preview, I do it pretty much every day. But it's about what works for you. And the same with the 90-day transformation audio program. We'll give you a track to listen to for a week, and you can listen to it as often in that week. We'll probably suggest 3 or 4 times, but if you want to listen more, great. And then we actually end up with the final session ties everything together and reinforces everything together. So that can be something you listen to as often as you would like. People will choose to listen to that daily. Other people might do it every quarter. Other people will do it never again. Okay, so Marion said, this is a great question. You mentioned visualization a lot. I struggle to visualize things. For example, I can't close my eyes and imagine, say, a beach or another place. Will the series still work? Is that where the binaural tones will help? Yeah, so the binaural tones will absolutely help where traditional ways of encouraging a hypnotic state might not work. So if you don't feel like you're good at relaxing, the mind monkeys are too fast and too big, or if you can't visualize things, then it will really help. But we will also, and I'll talk with you more about this in the series, we'll actually more broadly define visualization and imagery to include not only what we see, but what we feel emotionally, what we feel physically. So using this broader definition, we actually find that a lot more people will be able to use their dominant mode, whether it's kinesthetic or whether it's order, whether it's sound based or what it is, and whether it's visually based. Obviously, we'll help you to do it in a way that is right for you. Yeah, and a few people are going to ask the question. Oh, yep, Marcella's missed the link, so Em's provided it again. Oh, yep. And Fiona asks, is a subscription for 90 days only? So no, the subscription will go for as long as you are a member. So once you join it, then you're in, and then you can, like I said, you can cancel at any time. But after this hypnosis series, we're always co-creating the community together. We already have chosen what we're doing after this, and we're doing an advanced habit series with Dr. Gina Cleo because the first habit series was so popular. So then it will be like, okay, do I want to do that? And if you do, then you can continue. Or if not, you might look into one of the other series and go, oh, actually, you know what? That series on self-esteem and body image looks like it'll be really beneficial. So you can delve into that. But then, so you start and finish whenever you want. Oh, Rosamond, fantastic question. Is self hypnosis possible, or do you always have to work with a hypnotherapist? So, in the audio program, obviously, we are doing the hypnotherapist, me is doing the hypnotherapy. But again, I would say to you that it's actually you who are hypnotizing yourself. And in the webinar series, I will take you through each of those hypnosis activities. So you'll have them there to refer to, but I'm actually going to teach you how to do it all yourself. So you can do it without the audio program, without me. So it is a bit like what we would call hypnosis, but the webinar series is also very much what we would call psychological skills training, building the ability to relax, building the ability to change your thoughts, building the ability to visualize in a way that's right for you. And Carolyn is just singing some praises for the group. We love having you, Carolyn. Still here after a couple of years. It's an amazing group. It really, really is. Guys, I think that is probably tons and tons for us. I could sit here all day and talk with you about this, but I think that we are going, yeah, we're sort of going beyond even normal Glen time, which is a bit longer than normal. But if you want to work through this stuff, I would encourage you to take a leap of faith and get into the series, join the community. And probably the coolest thing about the community is that myself and my team of psychologists and dietitians are there to support you every step of the way. It is a very closely supported program. So if you have any of these remaining questions and you want to work through them, a great way to do it will be as you go, as these things come up, we can transcend them together. So, guys, thank you so very much. This has been a great session. It's a funny thing to do hypnotherapy or even a light activity with people who are just joining for a webinar and a group of people. But I think that due to your awesomeness, we have done a great job. And thanks for your thanks, guys. That's really nice. I really, really appreciate it. You guys have a hypnotic time until I see you next. And Emma's like, God, Glenn, enough with your wordplay. You're going to get a lot of wordplay if you do hypnotherapy with me. It's all part of it. And it's a fun process for me as it is for you. So thank you so much, guys. And I'm hoping that I can support you to unlock your unconscious with the power of hypnotherapy in whatever way is right for you in the future. Great work, team.